Welcome to the 25th session of mechanical measurement subject, and today's topic to be discussed is strain gauge type load cell. And this 25th session is related with the unit 3 measurement of force, torque and pressure chapter. In the last session, that is in 23 and 24th session, we have discussed about the force measuring, the definition of force and its application. Then later we have discussed about the construction, working and principle of spring balance. Also in the 24th session we have discussed about the working principle, construction and application of the proving ring. In today's session we are going to discuss about strain gauge load cell. And in the spring balance, we have discussed in detail about spring balance. We know that the spring balance is a device which is used for the measurement of weighing of an object. Totally we are going to discuss 3 different force measuring devices. One is the spring balance. Second is the proving ring, and third one we are going to discuss is the strain gauge type load cell. Out of these 3 different devices, whichever you take, in force measuring devices, we are going to convert the applied load into displacement, or through some distance will get deformed. When you are going to apply a load on the elastic member, it deforms. It means any force measuring device we are going to discuss, it works on Hooke's law. That is, for elastic deformation of either a spring or a proving ring or a load cell, the deforming force is proportional to the change in length or change in deformation. This is the principle employed in all the 3 devices. In the proving ring, last session in which I have discussed, here also, when you are going to apply the either tensile or compressive load, when you are going to apply this tensile load, this proving ring will get deformed in this shape, and this deformation is proportional with the applied load, and the measurement of this diameter gives directly the applied load. And this proving ring consists of a ring measuring device, and that ring measuring device includes vibrating reed and the micrometer wheel. These are connected to the internal bosses. When the anvil of the micrometer wheel touches the vibrating reed at its bottom, then the reading taken with the micrometer wheel gives the deformation of the proving ring. Even in case of spring ring also, in spring balance, there also when you are going to apply the load, the spring gets elongated, the change in length is measured on the graduated scale, that deformation gives the applied load. whichever may be the force measuring device, the applied load is converted into the displacement or the deformation. All the force measuring device are made up of elastic members. Elastic member means we are going to deform within the elastic limit. If the force is more than the elastic limit, what happens? It goes permanent deformation and the output will not be correct. Therefore, we are going to apply the load within the elastic limit. Therefore, either it may be a spring balance, or it may be a proving ring, or it may be a strain gauge load cell. All these members are made up of elastic members. Elastic members means when you are going to apply the load, they get deformed. On the removal of the load, they once again return to its original shape. That property is known as elasticity. Therefore, spring balance is also one type of elastic member, proving ring is second type of elastic member, and here strain gauge type load cell. This load cell is also a elastic member. Now let us discuss more about on strain gauge type load cell. Now, if you are to define the strain gauge type load cell, here the elastic members are generally used for the measurement of force through displacement measurement. In case of a strain gauge type load cell, the elastic member is generally a cylindrical steel column. In strain gauge type load cell, these elastic members are generally the cylindrical steel columns. Either it may be a spring balance, or it may be a proving ring, or it may be a cylindrical steel column. What happens when you are going to apply the force? They will get deformed. Therefore, these four elastic members generally employed for measurement of force through displacement measurement or deformation measurement. And here you can see two words, one is strain gauge and load cell. See, when this here in a strain gauge type load cell, the elastic member is here the cylindrical steel column, and when we are going to combine this elastic member with the strain gauge, and we are going to combine load cell with the strain gauge for the measurement of force, then we refer it as load cell. Now you may have the question, what is strain gauge? Now if you see these sketches A, B and C, if you see the sketch A, this is a strain gauge. Strain gauge means it is a device used for the measurement of deformation or strain at a point. Strain gauge means it is a device used for the measurement of deformation or strain at a point. And one thing you should note here, these strain gauges are having flexible backing. This sheet which you are going to see here, it is a flexible backing. And on this flexible backing, if you see, these are the metallic etching. This is the metallic etching. On the flexible backing, metallic etching is done. And this flexible backing will be mounted on the elastic member. When the elastic member gets deformed, there may be chance of that strain gauge attached to it or bonded to it or cemented to it. It may get elongated or it may get compressed. Now if you see here, in case B, here as compared to A, the length of the strain gauge has been increased. As the length increased, its resistance get increased. When the strain gauge elongates or it is lengthened, its resistance is going to get increased. Similarly, when a strain gauge, when you compare with A and C, the length of the C is get shortened, compressed. When it is going to get compressed, the length of the metallic foil also get lessened, shortened. When the length of the strain gauge gets shortened, its resistance will get decreased. Or simply you can remember that when the length is increased, when length is increased, we can consider there is a positive output of voltage. When length is decreased, we can have negative output voltage. When length is increased, the output will be positive. When the length will be decreased, we are going to have a negative output voltage. Therefore, if you have to define this strain gauge type load cell, now if you have to define this load cell, we are going to combine this elastic member with the strain gauge for the measurement of force, then it is referred as the load cell. This is very important. If someone asks you what is load cell, here we are going to combine the elastic member with the strain gauge for the measurement of force is referred as load cell. I hope it is clear to you now. The second thing you should remember, when the length increased, the output voltage also going to get increased, that is in positive. When the length increases, the output voltage is negative. According to relation, that is R is equal to rho L by A. There is a relation, rho is equal to R is equal to rho L by A. Since resistance is directly proportional with the length, if the length increases, resistance increases. If the length decreases, the resistance decreases. Now coming to the application of strain gauge type load cell. The first application is, it is used for the measurement of pressure or the force. It is used for the measurement of pressure or force. Secondly, it is employed for measuring continuous varying load, that is when load is not steady. Thirdly, it is employed for measurement of in vehicle weighing bridges. It is employed in vehicle weighing bridges. And also strain gauge type load cells are also used in tool force dynamometers. It means the strain gauge type load cells are generally employed when we require a fast response, or when there is a varying load. When we require a fast response, we use strain gauge type load cell. Now if you compare either a spring balance or a proving ring or a strain gauge type load cell, in all the three we are going to apply the load. The output will be either in the form of a displacement or in the type of a deformation or in the form of a electrical output. Whatever the input, that is the applied force, is always proportional with the output. That is, input and output are always linear in all the three cases. The applied load is always proportional with the displacement or the deformation. In case of a spring balance, spring will get deformed, whereas in case of a proving ring, the proving ring gets deformed due to the applied load, whereas in case of a load cell, a cylindrical steel column is going to get deformed. Therefore, the advantage of this strain gauge type load cell is that If you see these applications, these are used for fast response applications. Now let us discuss about the use of strain gauge for the determination of applied force. If you see here, now for any of the force measuring device, load or force is the input, and this input may be either in terms of displacement or in terms of the deformation or in terms of the electrical signals. Now in case of strain gauge type load cell, the load or force is applied on the elastic member. This is the block diagram for explaining about the strain gauge type load cell. The load or force is applied onto the elastic member. When the load is applied on the elastic member, what happens? If this is the length L, this length L will get shortened. Length L will become smaller and diameter get increased. And here our input is, it means when we are going to apply the force, and this column, this elastic member is, as the name indicates, elastic member, we are going to load only up to the elastic limit. If you are going to exceed the elastic limit, there will be the permanent deformation, then output will be not correct. Therefore, within the elastic limit we are going to deform and the outputs are noted. When load is applied on the elastic member, we are having the deformation. That deformation is proportional with the applied load or the force. Therefore, this deformation gives the first value, hence it is referred as act as a primary transducer. Applying load on the elastic member is considered as the primary transducer. And when the strain gauges are mounted on this column, cylindrical column, when strain gauges are mounted on the elastic column, elastic member or the cylindrical steel column, and the input of, that is the output of elastic member becomes the input to the strain gauge, that is change in deformation. That deformation becomes input to the strain gauge, and this strain gauge, due to change in length, its resistance changes. That change in resistance is proportional to the applied load, and the output will be given in terms of electric signal, generally the voltage output. Therefore, initially the load applied, the output will be in the form of a deformation in the elastic member. Then that output is going to become the input to the strain gauge, and this input to the strain gauge is in terms of deformation, it becomes the output in the form of voltage. And here the output in elastic member in terms of deformation is the acts as a primary transducer, and the strain gauge which gives the output in terms of voltage, it acts as a secondary transducer. Therefore, strain gauge type load cell is an example, or it acts as a secondary transducer. Now today we are learning the term secondary transducer. Now if you consider an example of spring balance, there when you are going to apply the force, there is the deflection or elongation in the spring, and directly it gives the reading, therefore it is a primary transducer. Now we may have the question, what is transducer? In the second chapter we have learned transducer is a device which converts one form of energy into the another form of energy. Therefore, you should remember spring balance is a primary transducer, whereas the strain gauge type load cell is a secondary transducer. Similarly, if you have to say a proving ring, whether it is a primary or secondary transducer, we say that proving ring is also a secondary transducer, because in proving ring the applied load deforms the proving ring, that is the primary transducer, and that deformation is measured along with the micrometer screw wheel. This micrometer screw wheel gives the second reading. Therefore, the proving ring is also a secondary transducer. Therefore, you should remember the difference between primary transducer and secondary transducer. In secondary transducer, we are having two outputs, whereas in primary transducer, we are having single output. Now, coming to the principle of strain gauges, you should remember when a force is applied on the elastic member, here generally in case of a strain gauge type load cell, the elastic member is a cylindrical steel column. When we are going to apply the compressive force, here this is the compressive force we are going to apply, what happens? The length of the column gets decreased and its diameter may get increased. Its diameter will increase as its diameter increases and its length gets shorter compared with the initial size. When we are going to apply a load on the elastic member, here we are going to apply the compressive force, that dimensions will undergo a change, that is decrease in length, increase in diameter. Now, suppose if you are going to attach strain gauges to this cylindrical column, when you are going to attach 4 different strain gauges, if the column is subjected to compression, the strain gauge attached to the column also get strained, and since they are going to strain, their dimensions also get changed. And if you observe here 2 gauges, this R1 and R2 are mounted on the cylindrical column in the direction of the force, and this R2 and R4 are mounted perpendicular to the application of force. These are R2 and R3. This R1 and R4 is on the back side. R1 and R4 are in the direction of force, whereas R2 and R3 are perpendicular to the direction of force. And before loading the column, when there is no force, the resistance of R1, R2, R3 and R4 are same, and when they are connected in a Wheatstone bridge, in the initial condition, when there is no load, the output voltage will be 0. Initially, when there is no load, resistance of R1, R2, R3 and R4 are same, and when they are connected to Wheatstone bridge, the Wheatstone bridge gives 0 voltage or the 0 output. Then we call this Wheatstone bridge is in balanced condition. When it undergoes deformation, the strain gauges R1 and R2 get compressed, whereas R2 and R3 get elongated or stretched. when we are going to apply the load, R1 and R4 will get compressed, R2 and R3 will get elongated or stretched. Therefore, there will be change in resistance. When there is a change in the dimension of a strain gauge, its resistance will change, and that change in resistance gives the applied force, or change in resistance is directly proportional to the applied force. This is the basic principle employed in strain gauge type load cell. When you are going to apply the load, the steel column gets compressed and the strain gauges which are attached to the loading column, they also get strained. Their electrical resistance changes, and that resistance change is directly proportional with the applied force. This is the principle employed in strain gauge type load cell. I hope it is clear for you. Now coming to the working of strain gauge type load cell. Now here this is the strain gauge. This is the strain gauge. The strain gauges, they are either connected or cemented to the, actually here it has shown load, it is not, it is loading column. This is the load column, okay. This is the loading column. Strain gauges are cemented to the loading column, and these are enclosed in the iron housing. This is the iron housing. Strain gauges are cemented to the loading column, and these are enclosed in an iron housing. Just a minute. It is not synchronizing. Slide is not moving to the next slide. It has hanged. It has come out of the yes, we are in this slide. Yes, here these are the strain gauges. These are more cemented to the loading column. This is the loading column, and these are enclosed in an iron housing. Now, when we are going to apply the force at the top of the loading column, here it means this is the loading column, this is the loading column, we are going to apply the load here. Here this is the loading column. When we apply the loading column, what happens? It should get compressed. Here I am going to apply the force. When I am going to apply the force, what should happen? It should get compressed. As the force is applied at the top of the loading column, the applied force will compress as the loading column. Means here you can see now it has been compressed here. When it is going to get compressed, what happens? The strain gauges R1 and R4, which is in the direction of force, they are going to get shorted. Whereas the strain gauges R2 and R3, which are in this direction, they are going to stretched or elongated. When, because of the shortage of this R2 and R3, the resistance decreases. Because of the increase in length of this R2 and R3, there will be increase in resistance. Because of this varying resistance, the output voltage also, this Wheatstone bridge is going to become imbalanced. This Wheatstone bridge is going to get imbalanced. When you are going to apply the force, this column gets shortened, it compresses, and the strain gauges attached to the loading column, they also get either stressed or elongated. That is the meaning of the strain, and therefore the electrical resistance changes. This change in electrical resistance is proportional to the force or the load or the pressure. The change in resistance is directly proportional to the load or pressure. And this change in resistance of the strain gauge is indicated by a indicating device. This is the indicating device. It may be a voltmeter or the output voltage, and this indicating device is calibrated in terms of either the force or the pressure. When the length increases, it gives the positive value. When the length decreases, it gives the negative value. Therefore, the strain gauge type, when there is a change in resistance of the strain gauge, it will be indicated by the indicating device, generally a voltmeter, and this voltmeter is calibrated in terms of force or the pressure. This is how a strain gauge type load cell works. Now let us summarize about today's explanation or this session's conversation. From the exam point of view, the question may be asked for 5 marks. The question is, explain with a neat sketch working of strain gauge type load cell. You have to write this sketch, label the parts. This is the loading column, this is the strain gauge. This loading column and the strain gauges are enclosed in an iron housing. These are connected to, strain gauge is connected to the output device using a Wheatstone bridge. This carries 2 marks. Then from the explanation point of view, first thing you should write, the strain gauge type load cell is employed for measuring pressure or the force. Then coming to its working condition, in the load cell, the strain gauge, you can see here, the strain gauges are connected or cemented to the column and they are enclosed in an iron housing. Then we are going to apply the load or pressure. This column will get compressed. As the column gets compressed, the strain gauges will get strained. That is, the longitudinal direction strain gauges will they are compressed, whereas on the diameter side it will get stretched. And there, since because of the compression and expansion, there will be change in electrical resistance of the strain gauges. This change in electrical resistance is proportional to the applied load or the pressure, and then the change in resistance of the strain gauge is indicated by indicating device, which is calibrated either in terms of the force or the pressure. And this description carries 3 marks. Therefore, you can easily attain 5 marks in this question. Now, next we know what you have learned from this session. The first question I want to ask you is, dash is used for measuring pressure or force. Your time starts now. Try to answer within 15 seconds. Yes, time started. Answer A is spring balance, B proving ring, C strain gauge type load cell, D Prony brake dynamometer. We know that spring balance is used for weighing of the object, proving for measuring the heavy forces, either it may be tensile or compressive. Then the correct answer is C, strain gauge type load cell is employed for the measurement of pressure or force. Whereas D is the Prony brake dynamometer, which is employed for measuring the torque. We are going to discuss this instrument in the next session. First thing you should remember, strain gauge type load cell are employed for the measurement of pressure or force. The second thing you should remember, try to answer this question. In load cell type strain gauge, dash is connected or cemented to the column and enclosed in an iron housing. Your time starts now. Answer A, elastic diaphragm, B, micrometer, C, steel rule, D, strain gauge. Yes, the correct answer should be in load cell type strain gauge, the dash is connected or cemented to column. Yeah, the correct answer has appeared that strain gauges are connected or cemented to the column for measuring the force. Then the next thing you should remember, in strain gauge type load cell, as the pressure or force is applied at the top of the loading column, the applied pressure or force, your time starts now. Directly the answer has come over here. The answer is, when you are going to apply the load on the column, it will decreases its length and increases diameter. Then the fourth question you should remember, or the fourth important item to be remembered in this session is, the change in electrical resistance of load cell is proportional to the dash. Your time starts now. Try to answer. Option A, load, B, pressure, C, both A and B, D, none of the above. The change in electrical resistance of load cell is proportional to the, yes, try to remember and answer. The answer has appeared. The change in electrical resistance of the load cell, here either we can apply both, either the load or the pressure. Therefore, the correct answer is both A and B. Correct answer is C. Let us go to the next question. Change in the resistance of the strain gauge is indicated by indicating device which is calibrated in terms of dash. Your time starts now. Change in the resistance of the strain gauge is indicated by the indicating device which is calibrated in terms of, answer A, force, B, pressure, C, either A and B, D, none of the above. The correct answer should be, it will appear, yes, it has appeared, it is calibrated either in terms of the force or the pressure. Therefore, the correct answer is either A and B, that is C is the correct answer. Next thing to be remembered is, if the strain gauge attached to the column gets strained and its electrical resistance in longitudinal direction, means the resistance, electrical resistance of the strain gauge in the direction of the load, what happens to that strain gauge? The length will shorten. Therefore, the answer should be, your time starts now. A increases, B decreases, C either A or B, D no change. The correct answer should be, the longitudinal direction, the strain gauge will get compressed. Therefore, since there is a compression, its resistance should, what happens? It should get decreased. Decrease is the correct answer. Since the resistance is directly proportional with the length of the resistor, as the length increases, resistance increases, length decreases means the resistance decreases. This is the concept should be remembered. In longitudinal direction, the electrical resistance decreases in a strain gauge. The next thing, if the strain gauge attached to the column is also gets strained and its electrical resistance in transverse direction. Yes, try to answer this. Your time starts now. A increases, B decreases, C either A or B, D no change. In transverse direction means we are going to mount the strain gauges on diameter side. The diameter side, what happens? When the load is applied, the length of the strain gauge increases, therefore the electrical resistance also get increased. The correct answer is A. Yes? I hope you have enjoyed this session. References. Team members. In the next section, we are going to continue with the torque measuring instrument, and we are going to discuss about what is torque. Then in that we are going to discuss briefly only about Prony brake diameter in the next session. Thank you.